Sonder gehalte basiese onderwys sal die land nie groei en ontwikkel nie. Die ongelykhede van die verlede kan nie uitgewis word nie, wat die sosiale samehang van die land negatief beïnvloed. Dit is volgens president Cyril Ramaphosa wat vandag by die jaarlikse basiese onderwysligotlag gepraat het. Die regering spandeer miljarde rande jaarliks op onderwys, maar met gemengde resultate. En intussen toon studies dat ons onderwysstelsel nie net sukkel met 'n tekort aan onderwysers nie, maar jaar na jaar verlaat baie ervare onderwysers ook die beroep op soek na groener weivelde. Die onderwysstelsel het jaarliks tussen 25.000 en 30.000 onderwysers nodig, maar die hoër onderwys en opleidingsstelsel produseer net tussen 6.000 en 10.000 in 'n goeie jaar. Ons praat nou oor die onderwys met 'n verteenwoordiger van die Gautengse Onderwysdepartement, Mabona, asook 'n woordvoerder van die South African Council of Educators of SACE, Themba Ndhlovu. Baie dankie dat julle by ons aangesluit het. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on a Blue Monday. Steve, we'll start with you. Friday was the deadline for Gauteng school placings. Were you able to assist all the learners who were struggling to find a school?
Look, remember we said there's a deadline. All those that have been provisionally placed, they need to go to school and access those placements because we understand that there's quite a sizable number of those that they were given those offers and they could not go. There's different reasons. One will say probably we gave them schools that they don't want. We gave them schools that they don't prefer. Some will say, they rather not take those schools and prefer to access the private schools or independent schools. So hence we felt that probably the number that we have, it's a little bit skewed because you can't have a number that is not moving. Because when you're looking at the number, it was not moving. We felt that let's interact with our schools. If they do have a backlog, let them, be quick in terms of capturing in the system, making sure that the number, goes down. So we were still finalizing our process of assessing the system on the numbers. By tomorrow, we should be in a position to issue a statement on where we are in terms of all the learners that were supposed to be placed. And, since we started with the process, how many have we placed and successfully, and where our challenges in terms of space. There are areas where we are challenged, and possibly we have more than quite a number of them that we probably will going to have to overcrowd.
So you ran ahead of me. I wanted to ask you when that process will be completed, but let me ask you this question. What is there that you feel can be done to prevent the annual repeat of this crisis almost that we face at the beginning of the year with school placements?
Look, our people are getting used to the system. You will recall where we started in 2016, where, in January we were sitting with over 45,000 of those that did not have space. And the following year, the number, reduced. In 2018, when we started, we were sitting at about 20. In around February, mid-February, I think we were done with the process. Everyone was placed. And now the number, we're sitting at 10,000 at some point. But then because of we opened the system for late registration, now the number, increased. But we managed to place, as much as we can. We are saying
overall there's progress, you would say?
There's progress because people are now getting used to the system. They know that they need to apply. Unfortunately, those that do not apply on time and those that don't just come, the following year, it's quite unfortunate, but we must satisfy the constitutional obligation, that of making sure that we give them an opportunity to, get school in Gauteng.
So let's move on to some of the issues that the President actually touched on today, and one of them was the safety of schools. We've seen this quite a number of times in recent times. One of your high-tech schools here in the province was broken into. 4 people were arrested with the help of the community. But this interested me that he said he asked for better cooperation between the department and the police. What is it that he is asking for?
Look, you'll understand that the patrollers that we use, they belong actually in the police sector because we take them from the Department of Community Safety. They screen them. They are responsible for making sure that they are appointed and are brought into our system. But in that, we also need to make sure that there's visible policing. I mean, a school such as the one that you mentioned, you cannot have probably 2 hours without a police van, moving around there. Though we have a sense that you also need to consider arming, the security that is there. But the high-tech security in terms of your CCTV cameras that are there, I mean, you can't beat that. But if you have people who have an intelligence that is probably coming from inside, then it's a different ballgame.
And let's pick up on that, intelligence coming from the inside, so people working at the school, teachers, students. Themba, I want to draw you into the conversation. Last year you said that you received in the order of 70 complaints for sexual misconduct. That's a different element to safety at schools than the one we've just addressed now. What have you done to address that? And then what is your contribution, you'd say, to making schools safer, not just for the children, for the learners, but also for the teachers themselves, because all of these things that threaten school safety, I assume, is also very traumatic for the teachers.
I think you're correct that the question of safety in schools, it's a big question. You would remember last year we were getting a lot of complaints about teachers being attacked, teachers being beaten up. We had an unfortunate situation in Northwest where a teacher ultimately died. It's quite a worrying factor that we need to check up the issue of safety in our schools. I wanted to follow up on what Steve was saying, that you can have the cooperation between the Department of Education and the SAPS, but key to us it's society, because schools belong to society. And unless society takes interest in securing our schools, we are not going to win this battle. Maybe going back to your point of the cases that we received last year, about 78 of sexual misconduct cases, we are saying as council, one such case is one too many. Because we do believe that parents send kids to schools to learn. And their wish is that the people who are teaching their learners would act as parents. And no parent would sexually harass, assault, or molest a learner. And that is why we took that very seriously. And I can assure you that those cases are priority cases to council. Immediately we received them, we dispatched investigations, and thanks God we're working well with the Department of Education in making sure that we deal with these cases decisively so.
I see you're nodding, Steve, so you're agreeing that there's a good working relationship on this very important issue. But I want to add something to it. The President also asked today that teachers be assessed. How does your organization feel about that, and what is your take on that, Steve? Let's continue with Themba.
Maybe we can talk of assessing in another context. I must indicate that Council, for argument's sake, at the beginning of this year, started implementing a resolution where every teacher, new teacher, that comes in to register with Council is expected to provide a police clearance certificate. One of the reasons is that we want to assure society that people that we have registered and we've sent out to the department to employ as teachers are fit and proper to be teachers. They don't have any record, adverse record on their names. And that is one way we are trying to say, let us screen everybody that is coming into the system.
But Themba, if I understand it correctly, not every teacher in South Africa belongs to the council. How do you deal with that?
That would be very unfortunate, because those people then may be employed illegally or working illegally. Because any teacher, for that person to be employed as a teacher in our country, that person must, and I'm using must, be registered with council. It's not a may. They must be registered. That is why we always say to employers of teachers, the department, school governing bodies, independent schools, because all those teachers must be registered with us. So if people employ them unregistered, they're doing it illegally.
Steve, I want to come back to you. Do you think the assessment of teachers, in whatever way the President has intended for it, and I'm sure we'll get more clarity on that, but over and above what the Council is already doing, will make your job a little easier?
Yes, definitely. I mean, when you assess the teachers, you actually are dealing with the quality. And you always say, why do you have this laxity when coming to, some part of, the education, like for instance in our public schools, there's complaints that people are not teaching, but where did these people, all of them, qualify for their certificate or diplomas? They coming from, the same universities, same colleges, but why then when you are in the public space, then there's some laxity and the people are different. So and the way of doing things is different. So assessment will assist. And like as Themba is saying, you can't have a teacher that does not have a SACE certification, because we work very closely with them. And we know that whatever work that they do, and we cannot just certify someone that does not qualify to be a teacher. Hence, when we have a teacher that we feel that need to be struck off the role, we then inform them to say, consider taking disciplinary processes. This is what we have done. We have taken the necessary steps, but over and above that, you must also consider striking them off the role so that they're not employable anywhere in the country.
I want to stop you there because lastly, just close off with this issue. So teacher training is very important and it has its challenges. What can the department do? Although it's the terrain of higher education, but what do you think the basic education department can do shortly so that we can give Themba also a chance to say to improve the quality of the teachers that steps into a classroom?
Look, teacher development is part of our program. As the department, we always develop teachers, most especially when we're going to introduce new things, like for instance your paperless education that we are providing in Gauteng. Those teachers were taken through a process of development, but on a continuous basis you must enhance that knowledge, make sure that you take them through, because it's something that they just started, it's something new. So those that are specializing, like for instance your subject facilitators, work very closely with teachers to say let's enhance them so that when we go for different camps that we take our learners, we know that at least we're not going to rely on subject facilitators only. We'll also identify some of the teachers which will be assisting the process of enhancing our learners during different camps.
A few words to you, Themba. What can be done to improve?
We've got the program Continuing Professional Teacher Development, which we are implementing as council, a program that says to teachers they must participate in professional development activities and earn 150 professional development points over 3 years. And also currently as council we are consulting with all our stakeholders in terms of the program we refer to as professionalization of teaching. Part of that aspect is to look at the initial training of teachers, because one realization that we have seen as council is that whilst we want to influence teacher development through in-service, but we need also to look at the question of what comes out of higher education institutions. That is why we are developing standards. We are in the process in our consultation of ensuring that what comes out of higher education institutions we have had an influence, so that as council who are to register these teachers, we are able to say the product that comes from there, we have influenced what should come out of the product, so that also as we train teachers, as teachers participate in professional development, it builds up from when the initial training of teachers.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. It made Blue Monday less blue, some good developments, and lovely to hear the collaboration. That was Steve Mabona van die Gautengse Onderwysdepartement en Themba Ndhlovu van die Onderwysersraad SACE. Bly ingeskakel. Nuusdag Perspektief gaan net hierna voort.